Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off in a child's pose position. Bring your big toes together, open your knees, and bring your arms out long and heavy in front of you. Bring your forehead to rest on the mat and start to bring your focus and awareness to your breathing. With every inhale, fill the space between your shoulder blades. And with every exhale, allow your hips to sink a little heavier onto your heels. Feel the stretch of your fingertips a little further out in front of you, and maybe find just a little bit of movement into your child's pose if that feels nice. Continue to focus on the movement of your breath. Full big breaths in and out. And then slowly push yourself up to a tabletop position. From tabletop, bring your right arm across the mat to your left diagonal, slightly in front of you. Reach your left arm up to the ceiling, a nice open twist. And now take your left arm and thread it underneath your right armpit and bring your left ear down to the ground. So just a little more of an open twist. Now with your right fingertips, you can crawl them forward and reach them over to the left corner of your mat. From there, really try to spin your heart space open towards the ceiling. So every exhale, you may find a little more rotation through your torso. Take nice big breaths in and out, maybe even feeling a nice stretch into the left side of your neck. And we'll slowly come out of this. Bring your right hand next to your nose, push into your hand, reach your left fingertips up, and then place your left hand down, and we'll set this up on the second side. So now your left hand is gonna go across your mat to the right side, slightly forward, reach the right arm up, take a moment with your right hand in the air, and then bring your right arm underneath your left. And maybe you crawl your left fingertips slightly more over to the right side of your mat and really try to press your right shoulder into the ground so you can rotate your heart space open to the ceiling. Find nice full big breaths in and out. And then slowly start to come out of this. So your left hand will come next to your nose, reach your right arm up once again, and then replace your right hand back down to the mat. Press into your hands, slip your toes under, and come into a semi-downward facing dog. So your hips will be up in the air, but bend your knees a lot here. Have a little bit of buoyancy in your knees. You can feel a little more release through your lower back. From this position, slide yourself forward to a high plank. You might have to kind of move your hands, lower your hips down, and find a back bend. You can lower your knees down to the mat. And then we move back, so flip your toes under again and come into that bent knee downward facing dog. Really think of sticking your hips up, finding openness through your chest. And we're gonna continue to move through these two postures. High plank to upward facing dog, or your variation of a back bend, and then push into your hands and move into this bent knee downward facing dog. And we'll take this a couple more times. Feel free to take it quicker or slower, maybe linger a little bit longer in one position. Push into the palms of your hands, really allow your chest to open when you come into your back bend. And take your last set here, moving through. And we meet back in downward facing dog, only this time try to straighten your legs as best as you can. Come into more of a traditional downward facing dog. Energize your heels down towards the mat. Feel the length through the backs of your legs. Take a few moments just to find your breath here. Notice the points of weight on the mat. Fingers are spread nice and wide. Step your right foot outside of your right hand and reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Your right toes can be slightly turned out. Now bring your right elbow down towards your right ankle and hold here. Keep your back knee lifted. That's going to bring a lot more stretch into the front of your left hip flexor. Maybe allow your head to drop down. We're just gonna hold and breathe. A lot of our exercises today are gonna be a bit longer. Lower your back knee down to the mat. Gently press your right hand into your right knee and think of spinning your heart space open once again. That same idea of rotating the right shoulder back. Take a nice big breath in and a full big breath out. Stretch your right fingertips forward in front of you. Make a huge circle with your right arm. bend your left knee. Now, if you're not able to catch your foot, that's okay, or you can use some sort of towel or strap, or you could just bend your knee. If you are able to catch your foot, go ahead and grab it. Try to pull your heel closer towards your glute. And then adding on to that, if you really feel open in the quad, kick your foot into your hand for a moment, and then pull the heel a little bit closer towards the glute, and keep moving through this process of kicking your foot into the hand, and then releasing the kick, and maybe the heel goes a little bit closer towards your glute. Keep pushing your hips forwards. Breathe into that opening in the front of the left leg. Slowly release, bring both of your hands inside of your right foot and shift your hips back. So your right foot is a little further out to the side. It's gonna feel a little funky. A nice hamstring opener. And just breathe. If you've got a deep bend of your right knee, it's no big deal. We're gonna move this into more of an IT band stretch. Keep your left hand down, reach your right arm up. So again, we're twisting through the torso. Think of the right shoulder pulling back as you press into your left hand. Breathe into this space. And then bring your right hand back down to the ground. Bend into your right knee, flip your back toes, step your left foot forward so you're coming into a squat. Now you find the squatting position that works for you. So maybe your hips are able to get pretty low. Otherwise, keep your hips up to your level and just take a moment here. We're gonna take this into a torso twist again. The right hand comes down, the left arm extends up. Even if your hips are up high, you can still find this torso twist. Swap sides, bring the left hand down and reach the right arm up. Apply a little bit of pressure of the left tricep into the left knee so you can encourage your left knee to constantly track over your ankle and toes. Bring the right hand down, straighten up through your legs. You can rotate your toes slightly, slide your hands underneath your toes, bend your knees a lot into a deep squat, and then try to straighten the legs and lift your hips up to the ceiling. And we're gonna take this just a few times. Find a nice deep bend of your knees. Try to keep your torso as attached to your legs as possible. And you can accomplish this, of course, by finding a nice deep bend of your knees. Just a great way to feel the tracking of the knees over the toes, while of course getting a nice hamstring and lower back opening. Release your hands, keep your feet wider apart, soften your knees, and slowly, slowly roll yourself up to stand. You can even find a little sway from side to side through the body as you come up to stand. Bend your elbows, bring your hands to your shoulders, and start to find an easy roll into the shoulders. Just a couple going one direction, and then switch, shoulders roll the opposite way, just to get a little bit of opening into your shoulder joint. Release your arms, reach the arms up overhead. And then take a big swim back. Interlace your fingers, punch your fist down, lift your heart open, bend your knees a lot, and bring your torso down. Once again, drop your head. Nice little shoulder opener. We're gonna find another twist once again. Keep your left shoulder attached to your left thigh as much as you can, and try to spin your right shoulder open to the ceiling. Pull back with your fists and then switch. So the right shoulder will come down and the left shoulder can lift up. Take a nice big breath in. And then come back to center, release your hands. Bring your hands down, step your feet back. Find this bent knee, downward facing dog once again. Notice if it feels a little bit different in our second time around. We're gonna move through our back bend. So slide yourself forward to plank, drop your hips. Maybe you keep your toes slipped under and your thighs lifted for an upward facing dog. And then back into that bent knee, downward facing dog. And we're just gonna move through these two postures about 4 or 5 times. Just a nice way to kind of warm up through your back, especially now that this is our second time doing it. You may be able to get yourself a little bit further, a little bit deeper. And then this will be your last set, and move into a downward facing dog. So allow your legs to straighten as much as they can. Try to energize your heels down to the mat, push into your palms. And now step your left foot so it comes outside of your left hand. We're taking everything on the second side. Keep your back knee lifted, reach your left arm up and open to the ceiling. And now bring your left elbow inside of your left ankle and just pause here. Try to keep your back knee lifted, so you're going to find a little more stretch into the front of the right hip flexor, probably also having some sensation in the left hamstring. Notice if you're tensing through the back of your neck, try to allow your neck to lengthen. Lower your back knee, bring your left hand onto your left knee and thigh, spin your heart open to the ceiling. Breathe in and exhale. And take a few more big breaths here. And now, if you'd like to, stretch your left fingertips forward, reach your left fingertips up and back, huge circle as you catch your right foot. Now again, you may notice a difference from one side to the other. Maybe one side, the foot was easily accessible, and on the second side, you're not feeling that so much. Go to your range of motion, even if you can't make contact with the foot. Continue to push the hips forward to feel the length into the front of your right quadricep. And if you want to if you've got the foot, you can take a little exercise here by kicking your foot into your left hand, finding a little bit of activation, and then release the kick and see if you can pull your heel a little closer towards your glute. Slowly release, bring both hands inside of your left foot and shift your hips back into a hamstring stretch. Take as big of a bend in the left knee as you need to find. This can be pretty intense, especially with the left leg out to the side a little bit. Feels slightly different in the hamstring. Every exhale, you go a little deeper. And now we'll move into the twist. So keep your right hand down and extend your left fingertips up towards the ceiling. Really press down into your right hand. Spin your heart open. Flex your left foot a lot. Your left toes may kind of be turning out to the side, and that's okay. That's going to target a little further into your outer left hamstring, the IT band on that left side. Give yourself a few more moments of breath here, and then place your left hand back down to the mat. Shift yourself forward, flip your back toes, lift the back knee, and now step your right foot forward. So we're moving back into our squat, second time in our squat. I like to hit things twice today, just so we can really feel the second time around we're getting a little bit further or deeper. Wherever your hips are in the squat, they could be up high, they could be down low. We're moving into our twist, so the left hand will come down, reach your right arm up, and really try to spin the heart open like the right shoulder is releasing back behind you. Take one more breath, and now bring your right hand down and switch this up. So your right hand will come in front, your left arm will peel open to the ceiling. Take a nice big breath in, and now bring your left hand back down to the mat. Straighten your legs, bring your feet a little closer together, and slip your hands once again underneath your feet. Drop your head as much as you can, bend your knees a lot, and then start to move as you bend and straighten your knees. Try to keep your torso as close to your thighs as possible. And if you're unable to get your legs all the way straight, no biggie, but you want to have this sensation of squatting down, of bringing the hips back, and of lying your torso on your thighs. And now release your hands, let them go. Soften through your knees, and slowly, once again, roll yourself up to stand. Head is heavy. Head will be the last thing to arrive. Once you come into your standing position, reach your arms up overhead, and then swim your arms back and around. Interlace your fingers at the base of your spine once again. Punch the fist down, lift the heart open, bend your knees, release your torso on your chest, and bring your arms away from your body. You can find a little bit of movement into the shoulders here if that feels like a nice opener. Slowly release your hands, stay in your forward fold, but crawl your arms out a little in front of you. So you're not going to have any weight on your fingertips. All of your weight is still going to be back into your feet. Try to pull your hips away from your fingertips. One last moment of traction. Walk your hands back in towards your feet, and then slowly roll yourself up to stand. Find a standing position. Maybe take a little bit of movement into your shoulders if that feels good. And then from here, allow your eyes to close. This is where we'll end our series today. Give yourself a moment for breath. Thank you for joining us. And that's your flow.